holes. Couldn't be easier. And what I'm going to do now is wire this one up. Following the instructions that come with the cabinets, I've spent a bit of time cutting all the cables to length, clipping off the ends, tinning them with a bit of solder. And this is the first port of call. This is the crossover, lots of gubbins on the back. And basically what this does is take the incoming signals from the amplifier and then splits them up between high frequencies and low frequencies. Very important piece of equipment this is. And what I did, I spent a bit of time trying to work it out on the instructions that come with it, but I have to say they're not overly clear because that is actually a reverse of that. So I think I've managed to work it out. We'll soon see when I plug them in. So what I've done is cut the two pieces of cable which will connect to this. Now this is obviously the input which will sit at the back of the cabinet where the signal comes from your amplifier, and then you have two pieces of cable, one going to the high frequency input and one going to the low frequency input. It's all very straightforward. So what I'm going to do is get on and solder these together. Before I solder these cables to the speaker input, just an important point I want to make. It's really important that you get your positives to your positives and your negatives to your negatives. Now, although this cable looks the same, the positive part, or one part, which I always use as the positive, has a little rib or a little ridge running all the way down the edge of it, and the other side is completely smooth. So what I tend to do is to use the one with the ridge running down the side as the positive, and then the other side as the negative. And then if you keep those together and always solder positive to positive, negative to negative, you shouldn't, in theory, go wrong. So that's the connections made from the speaker inputs to the crossover. Next job I need to do now is to solder the cable that comes from the outputs in the crossover, and these will be soldered onto the drive units. Okay, what I need to do now is to get all of this gubbins inside the cabinet. So, and then feed this piece of cable down with the speaker connector down to the bottom through the, there's a big hole there you may remember for the bass response. I need to feed it down through there and then pull it out at the other end. Sounds fiddly, but the guys tell me this is the best way of doing it. Good. Next job is to take this little bass port and to glue it in place under there. And to do that, I'm just going to use a bit of super glue. Okay, that's our bass port nice and secure. Next job I need to do is to stuff some of this bafle wadding down through that hole in there as well, which will sit in the bottom. And there's a certain way that it has to sit. It has to sit facing the front and the side so the back is clear. Again, another bit of a fiddly job. So next job I need to do now is to solder the connections on the drive units. I'll do the tweeter first, pop that in, then the bass unit. Well, one final job to do now before our speakers are finished, and that's to make up our little grill that sits over the drive units and covers them up. This is a speaker cloth, just plain black speaker cloth that comes with the kit. And here's the grill, made from 18mm MDF, pretty straightforward. Just cut it out with the jigsaw, tied it up with a router, and just put a bit of primer on it as well so it doesn't show through the cloth. Now, the way to fit this is pop the frame onto there, and just using a contact adhesive, just brush it all the way around onto the cloth and also onto the back of the grill there, and just let it dry. Well, that contact adhesive is all touch dry and exactly how it should be. Now I can start working on it, and all I need to do is just start pulling the cloth onto this side. There you go, one grill cloth all trimmed out and ready to go. All I need to do now is to fit these little plastic clips that are sitting in the back there, and they will slot into those that are fitted into the speaker cabinet, and then they just clip together like that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue onto these and pop them in. Then we'll be ready to try them out. And now for our moment of truth. We've got these speakers hooked up to the amp and the CD player. Just hit the play button. Here we go. Oh yes, they sound pretty good to me. Thanks very much for watching today. I hope I've inspired you to go out and build a pair of loudspeakers of your own. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.